Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Master as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode 517. And a service corridor just isn't the same without a creature. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm still in shock, I think.
What are you still in shock for? Or about?
The Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a big night, you know. Yay, Coda.
Yeah. That was surprise upset.
Well, not for those of us that read the signs. Didn't you read the signs? I saw the signs.
They had a last minute push. I think that helped them. I'll say I am very pleased that movie won, because the one that I was the front runner was not a good movie.
Are you thinking Power of the Dog?
Yeah, it should not have. It was not Best Picture. It was. I mean, I appreciate what it does. I appreciate the direction, and I think Campion maybe did deserve the Oscar, but I don't think the film itself did. So I was over the moon that Coda got it.
I enjoyed Power of the Dog. I didn't enjoy it like I wasn't gangbusters for it. It's not an enjoyable watch, if I guess that makes sense. But it is a film that, I mean, Mel and I were still talking about it long after it had ended, and there's a lot of subtext to it, which it actually made me want to read the book to see if some of that was in there or how much of it was left. And, you know, and so again, I think that's one of those things that's the hallmark of a film that, you know, if it inspires you for that kind of stuff, then, well, there must be something to it. Yeah. But no, it's not an enjoyable watch versus Coda, which is, and Coda is exactly the type of film that I want to see win the Academy Award for Best Picture, because it is joyous, uplifting. And I don't particularly care if certain individuals in our group said it was cookie cutter. I like cookie cutter from time to time.
I don't even think it was cookie cutter. I still will maintain that King Richard's the best film of the year, but
I'd still say Dune, but I know it's not going to win. So,
yeah, Dune's a good movie. I'm not underselling it. I don't know about Picture of the Best. I don't know about Best Picture of the Year.
So good.
Well, Sean, do you want to talk about the results of our contest?
Must we?
I'm afraid we must.
Well, we tip our hats. If we had hats, we would tip them to the ladies over on Team Return of the King, because we took part in the Pod versus Pod Oscar Challenge, and it was us and the folks over at the Gold Standard podcast versus the ladies over at the Five-ish Fangirls, and we lost. There's no easy way to say it. It still sticks in my craw just a little bit, and I'm still in shock about it. It was a close race. It was a tight race. We only lost by 2 when all of the Oscar votes were tallied, but we did in fact lose. So we tip our hats to the ladies. They did a fine job in a well-run competition. And consequently, we are now being forced to watch a terrible movie of their choosing. We assume it's
supposedly
terrible.
Supposedly terrible. Right. One of the people in our group have already seen it, and he did think it was all that bad.
What is the name of this thing? The
Home Team.
Home Team, starring Kevin James on Netflix. One of the Happy Madison run of pictures.
It's supposedly based on true events.
It's got a 6 out of 10 stars on IMDb.
Yeah, it seems to be a fan-rated film. It's not got a high Rotten Tomato number, or a percentage, but it seems to be a fan favorite, because it's not getting terrible reviews from the public.
Does any Happy Gilmore film these days get a good critic review?
Not anymore, no.
So yeah.
I mean, I suppose in fairness, we had joked about making them watch Cats. So, yeah. all things in consideration, right? We're probably getting off the hook easy.
Right.
Oh, yes. Quite.
At some point in time, we will review that and have that for you as. Are we going to do that as a Patreon special?
Yeah, we'll have that as a Patriot
window
exclusive.
for those that are interested. And of course, the Academy Awards were last night, and all the news that's fit to print has been printed. I think at this point, it was an interesting evening.
Certainly one that no one will forget.
That is true. Up there with Marlon Brando not picking up his Oscar, and David Nevin's Streaker, which may or may not have been Jack Lemmon. So we'll leave it at that. But fun night. All things considered, fun night.
Did you guys do anything else this week? Watch anything or read anything?
No, I did a lot of homework for the show. I actually kind of got movied out, which is a strange thing to say, but in the mad rush to get caught up for the Oscars, Mel and I managed to knock out 9 of the 10 Best Picture nominees, and just couldn't quite bring ourselves to get into Drive My Car, which is the 3-hour international film. Just sitting through 3 hours of subtitled Japanese language, it was just kind of like, nah, not really feeling it at this moment. So I'm sure we'll get to it at some point in time later. But so we delved back into The Rookie, which is back for the season, and watched a couple episodes of that here and there. But yeah, didn't really do much in the movie front.
What is The Rookie?
It's Nathan Fillion's cop show.
Fillion,
Oh, yes, okay.
which is delightful.
It really is. It's really good.
For a procedural, it's way better than it has any right to be. But a lot of that is just, the charisma of Nathan Fillion.
And some of it, I think, is also they actually take it truly procedural. There are like events within the story, within the episodes, that have nothing to do with any bigger story elsewhere. Like it's true. Some of it is just routine traffic stops and average stuff cops deal with, which is kind of refreshing. Not everything is tied to a big serial killer story arc. Yeah, they have story arcs, but it's not as heavy.
I'm wondering now if they have to change the name, because he's we're 4 seasons in, and he is officially now not a rookie. So just got the promotion. Spoilers.
Keith, you doing
I finished reading. Actually, I think I started and finished since we last spoke. Star Wars: The High Republic, The Fallen Star.
Yeah.
Which is the latest adult novel, and holy crap.
That good,
It's good. They do some very bold and decisions, and it's like an episode of Doctor Who. Not a lot of people survive. Including a whole lot of Jedi.
Oh, wow.
So they're, I don't know what their plans are in the future, but they're culling the crowd of characters like crazy.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah, but it's good. It's definitely worth reading. Especially if you've been able to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of characters that have been crossing over through the different book lines and comics and everything. So
I fell so far behind. I was on a tear there for a while, and then I just kind of dropped off.
Oh, you know what I did watch? I watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer again.
For the 700th time.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that show. Hello there. Oh. And then Duel of the Fates came in. I'm a wee bit excited.
Did you guys do anything else? I didn't really do anything this week either. I was kind of like Sean. I got movied out. I'm getting excited for Moon Knight on Wednesday, so I'm gearing up for that. That's pretty much it.
Well, that does drop Wednesday. Oh, I did watch the new Halo.
Oh, how was it?
It's not bad. It's the effects are good. The character models are good. It has all of those kind of hallmark Halo moments. Master Chief rips a turret off at one point and starts machine gunning things, and you're kind of grinning, going, "Ha, yeah, I remember that."
Rips a turret off.
Yeah, okay. The machine gun turret.
Yep. I'm just making sure that's what you said.
Rips a turret off.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. That's not what it sounded like, so that's why I was clarifying.
Okay. In my head, it made sense.
Am I crazy, Keith? Did it sound like something else?
Yeah, it sounded like something else.
Okay, all right.
fair enough.
I'll let the listeners go back and listen and see if they think. Let's see if they think it sounded like.
I'm operating on very little sleep. So I may have said something else. In my head, it made sense. But it's got those moments that are totally, if you've played the Halo game, you're like, all right, cool. Halsey and the characters are kind of there. I'm not sold on the guy who's actually playing Master Chief yet. And part of that is just my initial, because he talks, and it's not Master Chief. There's a very distinctive Master Chief voice in the video games. That's Chief. And yet, I don't know if you guys watched the live action Cowboy Bebop that Netflix did. It's similar in a way where it was Bebop, but it was kind of one step parallel, where they did a similar story, but it wasn't the exact same story.
Right.
And I feel like that's where they're going to go with this, where they're going to do Halo, but they're not going to do the exact same Halo.
Oh.
And if that's the case, I think I'm going to be more okay with him. And the reason I can say that is because in the video games, Master Chief is kind of a cardboard cutout. But he has to be, because you're playing him. You're the active player. So anytime you do something that's badass, it's because you did it. On a TV show, it's more passive, and you're watching these events unfold. And so they kind of have to give him a little bit more than just this cardboard cutout in order for me to be invested in him as a character. And so they've given these little dollops of a backstory. And so if they follow that through in order to make me latch onto him as a person, I think it'll work better for the storytelling that they're hopefully going to stick with. But we'll see. Like I said, the first episode, it didn't blow me through the back wall of the house, but it was all right. So
okay,
we'll kind of see where they go with it.
Well, I'm going to try and check it out this week. So, all right. Well, do we have any news to report on? I think we do have one news item, Keith.
Yes, Legend of the Sea Devils, the next special, will be coming to us on Easter Sunday, April 17th.
Yay! It's actually on Easter Sunday. So your Easter Saturday jokes are null and void, Sean.
Sunday.
It's an Easter special.
It is officially an Easter special now.
I'm still going to say Easter Saturday.
Well, you can try to watch it on Saturday, but I don't think you're going to find it.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. It'll be on Saturday somewhere.
Then maybe the next Saturday if you DVR it.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think I can back that up.
This episode of Traveling the Vortex is sponsored by Audible.
They have audiobooks, they have novelizations, and they have Big Finish. So you can go and try it for free. Here's how. Simply go to audibletrial.com/travelingthevortex. Again, that's audibletrial.com/travelingthevortex. Sign up for a free 1-month trial and dip your toe in Big Finish, and then you will be like us and know what all the hype is about.
Again, that's audibletrial.com/travelingthevortex. Sign up today. All right, well, let's move on to this week's reviews, which we're now moving into fall. If you're following along, we've moved in on our graphic to Act 1, The War Master Rage of the Time Lords.
It's you!
It's me. Hello. It's you!
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, The War Master, Rage of the Time Lords.
You've no idea what it's like, have you? To live through war, to watch your home wither and die.
When the entire universe is going up in flames, it takes a true genius to make it blaze even brighter.
Who are you? I am the Master. And you are about to become a part of something beautiful.
I see shards of time swirling through the sky like spitfires. Battles being written and rewritten. Countless victims. Never-ending defeats. all war is senseless, but this makes no sense. What is this war?
Stop!
And away from it, from all the action, hiding on the edges, I see something you don't want me to see. No. Someone. A man. He's been battered by the storm, but he's holding on, and he is the only one who can help.
Enough!
Big Finish. We love stories.
We almost certainly won't survive this.
But what a way to go. Goodbye, old friend.
Goodbye, Doctor.
The Survivor. At the height of the Second World War on the planet Earth, Alice Pritchard wants for nothing more than the fighting to stop and do her bit for king and country. But when the village priest offers her guidance, her life will change in ways she could never imagine.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. I concur. Get some bum 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 from me too. Sean, why don't you go first? Oh no, Keith, you go first this week. We
should go first this
Sean
week.
and Sean and I keep going first every week, and we keep leaving you out. So,
I think this was a good, solid, kind of contained story that had me interested throughout all of it, of what's going on and what's the Master really doing here. I thought Alice was an interesting character, and obviously kind of what's going on there, and kind of trying to play catch up of what's the city of, or this little town, and what everything that's going on. I enjoyed the ride and thought the characters were good.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I really liked the idea of this kind of ticking time bomb in this community of people, and she's trying to fit in. She doesn't realize that she has these powers until obviously much later, and it's kind of manifested later. Although we do know that there was one incident that at least one incident that destroyed the barn doors that she ends up repairing and then destroying again. But I thought it was kind of neat, and I like the concept of, and I think this becomes more apparent much later down the line in the box set, but I like the fact that the Master's sort of going around, while he's still the bad guy in this, and he's the instigator, and he pushes Alice along that track to agree to go with him, although albeit reluctantly and manipulatively. But I like that the Master is. It's weird to say I like that the Master is manipulating and coming up with a way to snatch up these different people for an end means, which we'll talk about later. I thought that was kind of a neat premise. The drama that unfolds with the daughter of the lady's house that runs this women's auxiliary, and coming back and being this, that type of flirt and city girl, and she immediately hones in on Alice's, boyfriend, or not boyfriend, but the guy that Alice likes, to steal him away. That was, kind of intriguing. Gave Alice a motive in order to become rageful, even though I think she was, again, very much pushed by the Master giving her the jewels, or whatever they were, gems that would amplify her power. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's just the political intrigue, and then the turning it, not even turning it, but the little surprises at the end of the trial when it's revealed about the ship coming down and her aunt actually finding her, or taking her in after being dropped off. And I think we all suspected that she wasn't maybe from Earth, but early on. But I did think it was a neat revelation at the end of this. So overall, it was neat. It was well acted. I really believed that Alice was this tormented, maybe even not on the surface, but internally tormented by the things that were going around her. And I thought that the gal that played her, Catherine Pierce, was really the highlight of the entire story. I thought she did such a good job portraying Alice.
I also liked how her powers were a bit more complex than just, telekinesis. It wasn't that she could just move stuff with her mind and destroy things. It was she could reach through time to influence what a setting is. I thought that was really cool. The fact that she's able to pull things forward to fix or break, based off of whatever. I thought that was really cool and really clever.
Yeah, there was a lot to like in this one, starting and ending with Derek Jacobi. From the get-go, his portrayal of the Master really, for me, harkened back to Roger Delgado. And the fact that we've got him, incommunicado in this small village, cosplaying as a priest. Just right off the bat, that he's back in disguise and back at it, using the persona of the Reverend Magister, which he was that was his persona in the Demons. Yeah, he just fell right back into it, and it was so perfect, and it kind of added a level that we didn't get in the previous set. Where I'm sure he was in a disguise of some sort, but this one really felt very much, that's part of the MO. What's he up to? And then kind of just being in on it from the get-go, that this is, he's manipulating this poor girl, and oh yes, well here's this alien shrapnel, and you should hold on to it, and it will give you these powers, and oh, this isn't good. Oh, don't do it, Alice. And really just kind of, fell in love with Alice in a kind of a strange, sinking way. And when the daughter showed up, wow, how insufferable can you be? I'm trying to think if there's a record in a Big Finish audio for being like from zero to hatred, because it did not take long. I had a very instantaneous gut check reaction to this woman, and I despised her pretty much instantaneously. It was just like, okay, I don't like you. And then it went downhill from there. And I'm not going to lie, when Alice was mentally throttling her, I was kind of rooting for her. I didn't feel bad. It was not a moment of tragedy. It was like, yeah, get her. I mean, anybody else? She deserved it. I'm sorry.
No, I would concur. I don't know that she deserved it, but I agree with the amount of distaste or dislike of the character, and very well done. It wasn't quite Nurse Ratched and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest showing up, but it was up there. Darn close. I don't know why, but just, man, she set my teeth on edge. And so I was quite, I was quite happy for her comeuppance to be what it was. And that's a terrible, terrible thing for me to say. But, she spends the rest of her life being looked after by a nurse and won't speak again. Aw, that's a damn shame. I mean, I'm petty about it. I'm not even gonna lie. But for Alice, I felt genuinely bad for Alice that she kind of went through, what she did, and especially not knowing the Master's end game at this point, because this is so early in the box. Just that he's after her for some reason. This is above his normal mischief. That there is an ulterior motive here. I didn't see the twist that she was extraterrestrial. I just assumed that she was a person of abnormal Esper powers or something. But that was a nice twist to explain it. And like Keith, the fact that her powers were not just the normal run of the mill psychokinetic
abilities was kind of an added. I forget exactly what he named it. Temporal or time psychonaut or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that was an added bonus, I think.
Yeah.
Chronocycle.
Chronocycle, thank you.
Yeah.
And then de-evolving into a Salem witch trial at the end was very kind of a classical. Well, of course we have to go there, and I'm honestly kind of shocked that we didn't get a full-on burner at the stake moment. He kind of whipped the crowd into a frenzy.
Yeah, I think that was another thing I liked about it was Jacoby's performance there as the master was very. I mean, the manipulation of the audience and the jury at that trial was just masterfully done. And masterfully written, masterfully performed, and it really brought a lot of intensity to that scene.
What's cool is the original concept apparently would have been had it set in the 1660s and had the master be a witchfinder general, which obviously was vetoed by the BBC since they planned to do that in Series 11.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this would have come out in, 2019? So, yeah, that would have been around that time, too. I'll be darned. Too many similarities, I suppose.
Well, when you want to have it in the same setting, essentially.
Yeah.
TV gets precedent.
Well, let's talk about the next...
It's got to feel good as a writer when you submit something and they tell you can't do that. We're doing that on TV. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm in the right wheelhouse.
Let's talk about the next one. Well, go ahead.
Oh, no. The Coney Island Chameleon. When the carnival arrives on Coney Island, it brings with it the most incredible specimens that New York will ever see. Unfortunately for the acts, not all eyes on them are friendly. Enigmatic businessman T.S. Marith has taken a shine to the Coney Island Chameleon, for example, and he will seemingly stop at nothing to acquire her.
I'll give this one a bump too. I don't know that I enjoyed this one as much as the first one, but this one was kind of cool in a different way. And by that I mean I liked the concept of the carnival, not even a carnival barker, the sideshow showman, and he's got this, band of misfits, I suppose, that we don't get to know a lot about because that's all sort of off screen. But he also has this woman who has this power, and that's basically a chameleon, and can. I got the impression that she not only can just her body doesn't necessarily change just to look like it, but almost mimic it, because they talked about when she was in front of the, I don't know, was it concrete or stone or whatever, and the guy felt her face, and it was cold. I thought the other thing that I thought was kind of cool was so many times you get the carnival head that is the kind of the slave driver or the, manipulative, we're going to do it this way, or they're very forceful or very mean. I really like the fact that this Sabatini was kind of a softy at heart. And number one, he had sought out the Elephant Hotel, or had gotten the Elephant Hotel lodging for his crew, and mostly because that way they didn't have to sleep out in tents in the cold. And when she would ask him, I don't like when they touch me, and he kind of reluctantly agrees that they don't have to do that anymore. I think maybe that wasn't it. There was something that she asked. Maybe
she asked for them to at least not touch her face.
Yeah, that was it, right? And he agreed to that. And so I liked kind of his gruff but soft touch with her, and I thought that was kind of unusual for a character that you get in these stories.
Yeah, I agree. Sabatini is probably the best part of this story. He comes across one way, and you have these expectations of what this character is going to be and what it's going to be like, and they subvert it every chance they get. And it kind of makes it a little bit more tragic and more of a surprise when it comes to reveal that it's actually Sabatini that the Master wants and not Esther for whatever he's working on. The fact that they subvert it all the way through up to that point, and then I still didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It shows how well written this story is.
I think
at least the characterizations.
I think that since you went to that point, I think that was the letdown for me, though, because I sort of felt that while I liked the surprise that, because we get the impression that the Master is collecting specimens because he's gone through this with Alice. He seems to be pursuing Esther, and then so when we get to the end and there is that, no, he's the one that he was after all along, I did like the surprise of that, but there was so much you didn't give me enough of Sabatini's whatever ability the Master was looking for. And I think they kind of, he says what it is and kind of, his strength and determination or whatever. I don't remember even how the Master describes what he was looking for in the character, but it seemed like there needed to be more, that like Sabatini needed to have more of that in his character in order for me to then buy the fact that, this wasn't just, stunt writing in trying to trick me into thinking something and then, pulling the wool out. I think if Sabatini had some hidden talent greater than just being a strong man, I think that I would have liked that ending better. I didn't hate it, but I think I would have liked it better had there been a little more.
I could see that.
I didn't like it.
Any of it?
The Coney Island chameleon, there was no chameleon, and they weren't on Coney Island very long. I just felt from off the bat it was kind of a misnamed episode.
It does go off the rails a bit towards the end from what it's titled and what it leads you to believe it's going to be.
I'm kidding. I honestly, when I thought I was very excited over the idea because having come off of the Oscar viewings this week, and in particular Nightmare Alley, I got excited because I thought, what a perfect place for the Master to hang out in a freak show at a circus, on a Coney Island kind of. This is going to be right up his alley. Why I don't think we've ever seen him in this kind of environment. Why haven't we seen him in this environment before? This is perfect for him. And then we didn't get that. Instead, we got this kind of cross-country train chase, which was interesting because they didn't, for an episode that is titled The Coney Island Chameleon, we really didn't spend much time in Coney Island. But everything you said about Sabatini was spot on, that he was such a departure from the norm that you couldn't help but gravitate toward him as a character. And the more mysterious Esther was, the more you really came to desperately want to know more about what is the deal with this woman, and how does she have the abilities that she have, and what does the Master's plan for her, only to find out that no, that was the ruse, that it was all about Sabatini to begin with. And it had these great little character moments. We get in this one in particular is a bit of the Anthony Ainley insanity Master when he's lighting the fire and simply delighting in being a pyromaniac. which was it was almost a step aside to just his cackling laugh as he's starting this fire. And it's something like, of all the things the Master delights in, we've seen him delight in murder, we've seen him delight in chaos, we've seen him delight in this. Fire is not something that I think we've really, other than just the destructive act of it.
Or using it against the Third Doctor in the mind. What was that? The one where they're in the prison and he's using the device.
Mind of Evil.
Mind of Evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it really kind of struck me that That's totally in fitting with this guy. I would not be surprised to discover that he's a pyro at heart. It just kind of like, because of course he is. Yeah, all right, sure. And once again, Jacoby sold it. He just, the more I listened to this man, the more amazing he got. Like he wasn't already amazing, but man, he was good. And so then we get to the end, and as you said, Glenn, it did kind of felt like, well, everything but the kitchen sink. What else should we throw in here? We've had the chase. We've had this. We're now in New Orleans. Well, we're going to go on a boat and have a chase onto a paddle steamer. Why? Okay, because
because we can.
Because we can. It's audio. We're not paying for these locations. All right. And then kind of the final reveal that this is, what the master's after is actually Sabatini. And the rug kind of gets pulled out from under us at that point because it's like, huh, okay. And it was a good twist, but at the same time, it seemed extremely convoluted.
Yeah.
Because he could have taken him at any point in time.
Right.
Realistically. And I mean, we all know the master is... He's so in love with the sound of his own voice and his convoluted plans that that's often his downfall, is how convoluted his things get. But this one seemed unnecessarily so.
Yeah.
Dude, you conk him on the head. You know where he lives. He's in the elephant. I don't imagine that was difficult to find. It's an elephant. You go and because I'm imagining something that looks like, like Moulin Rouge. It's carved. It's a wooden elephant, right? I mean, it's got to be. It's Coney Island. It's got to look like an elephant. You go and you conk him on the head and you put him in the ship and you fly off. Why all of the subterfuge?
He said he did have some sort of line at the end about why he went through all that he went through.
And there was a bit of a justification for it, and a bit of a, well, because I needed you to prove that you were blah blah. And it's like, that's thin. That's kind of justifying the runaround because you wanted to do the runaround and you felt like you needed to justify the runaround at the end of it.
Right.
It was putting the cart before the horse for me. It was just kind of there because you felt like you had to.
Yeah, I think inserting that kind of line of justifying why that happened, and then we can't remember exactly how it was said. It was obviously done poorly. So,
right. My bigger complaint with the whole story in general is that there wasn't enough Derek Jacobi. That it was spent so much time with Sabatini and Esther and them being chased. But obviously we're spending it with them instead of the person chasing them. So it's just not as much of him as I would like.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that too. So yeah, I'm with you, Glenn. I enjoyed this one, but not as much as the first.
Yep.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Witt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Alison Fitz-Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You're listening to Traveling the Vortex, a Direction Point podcast.
All right, well, let's move on, but I'm going to have you guys indulge me with this. And Keith, I'm sorry to throw a monkey wrench at you if you don't have this one ready, but I think we should do the Diary of a River Song story at this point, because I sort of feel like this one fits between the two we just reviewed and the two that close out this box set. So if you don't mind, let's review the Diary of a River Song 5.4.
Concealed Weapon. A deep space exploration mission nears its end when suddenly the crew starts to die. River must try to protect her colleagues and work out what else is on board their ship. Something is stalking them, and the deadliest master of all has his own plans for River Song.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. We're on the same page.
Here's the
I
downside
really
of
wanted
this
to
story.
like this one.
Yeah.
It's not any better in context for the box set either.
Well, and it doesn't seem like it even needs to be, because it really does feel like its own story. Does the box set up why she's on this ship with these ladies? Okay, so then, yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to, and I'm glad to hear that, because that was my only question. Was we didn't really get a good explanation. Well, that wasn't my only question, but that was one of my questions. Was we didn't really get a good explanation as to why River is here at this time. We know she's going to the surface, or they're were they returning from somewhere, or were they going somewhere? I can't remember how that was, but anyway,
Yes. They were heading somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So she was obviously going to wherever they were for some purpose or reason. But they never really divulged, I don't think, unless you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't really divulge what she was doing there. It's probably inconsequential to the story, but that was one thing that troubled me.
I really wanted to like it because of the setting. I enjoy spaceship stuff. And River, the fact that they never explained what River was doing there, that's kind of immaterial. River's off having an adventure doing something. Okay. I can get on board with that.
What's River doing there? She's putting together an entry for her diary.
Yeah. Yep. Beyond that, it doesn't really matter. She's having an adventure. Okay. Beyond that, what I didn't like about it is River was kind of dumb in this.
Yes. Oh my God. I totally agree. She was always on her back foot through this entire story.
She starts off and she has this wonderful insight about how many life forms are you reading. And, oh, what a brilliant piece of it. There's somebody else on board. Okay, we're right here with you. And then gets the printout or whatever, that it's a biovascular, a dual vascular system, and immediately jumps to the conclusion that it must be the doctor,
right?
One of them, and that she's going to do nothing because he will reveal himself in his own time and save them. And I literally, I was listening in my car, I was at a stoplight, and I did a facepalm.
Yep.
Now, admittedly, I had just come off of a master box set, so the seed was planted. But still, that's the automatic assumption. I mean, first of all, there are other people out there with two hearts other than the doctor. They're called Time Lords.
She should know that because she is.
She of all people should know that.
Yeah, she is a time lady. At least part time lady.
And secondly, you don't need the doctor to come save you. You are River effing Song, right? The last time I checked, it's your name on the box set. I mean, yeah, the doctor can come save you if it's a Doctor Who episode, because it's his name on the episode. But frequently, you're the one that comes to save him. And so just that insistence that, oh, he'll come save us was like, oh, we're doing that. And it was another instance of a woman being robbed of her agency. And I get very tired of that kind of storytelling, because, well, that's what the demands of the plot are. So I sat back and kind of half listened to the rest of this adventure, where then we're going to make a series of bad decisions where we know there's somebody else on board. We've already had one person murdered, and then we almost get sucked out of an airlock, and we do lose the captain. So now two people are gone. And the computer randomly says, hey, there's a problem. I can't tell you what it is. Can you come down here and check? And they willingly send the third victim to the slaughter.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to pair up. You're not going to send somebody with her.
Talk about cookie cutter.
I mean, and I face palmed again. It was just, oh man. Okay. And I'm thinking this as a, once again, I have to put myself into these people's shoes. You're in space. You are a scientist of some sort. Now, I like to believe that they don't let idiots go into space. There's a test for this. You have to prove that you're not going to push the self-destruct button on the ship, right? I mean, this is the reason we don't let chimps fly the spaceships. So you have to say, you have to be smart. You are a scientist. Therefore, you are, you passed a couple of tests. You probably have a degree in something. You've proven that you're smart. You're going into space. You've proven that you're smart there too. You are doubly smart. How can you be so bad at the common sense stuff? And I see this all the time in science fiction shows. Alien Covenant was right up there with this kind of stuff, that they took these people and put them all through all these paces. And I just shook my head and went, I don't buy this, because I refuse to believe people are this dumb. I just, like, normal people, sure. You want to set this on a farm or, in a big city somewhere and have normal, everyday people make these kinds of decisions. I'm on board with that, because people are dumb. But space people? Scientists? No. I refuse to buy it. And so the whole rest of the story just kind of fell apart for me at that point. Jacoby was wonderful. Alex Kingston was wonderful. I really enjoyed the computer, although it kind of makes me nostalgic for when you have a doting supercomputer that can do everything for you. Why would you travel to any other time frame?
Yeah.
I'm such a person of creature comforts. I can't fathom roughing it after that. Right. I don't care what time frame I'm from. Doc, you can leave me here, because this is it. But so yeah, the rest of it was just kind of like, I did think the mind wipe at the end was a nice, clever way of getting around certain issues.
Yeah.
That would have, and I liked the fact that the master's rationale for it, that he's, looked into her future and knows what she's all about.
Right.
So it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But beyond that, yeah, I really wanted to like this one, but just, I couldn't get past the rest of it.
I had hoped that there was I know that every time we have a River box set, there's a good chance that she's either A, going to encounter the Doctor and not be able to reveal who she is, or B, there's going to be something that happens that the Doctor loses his memory, so he doesn't remember meeting River. And I thought in this one that they wouldn't maybe necessarily have to do that. But I understand why they did, but it's so cliche that I was upset that it was so simply done for this story. And that was another thing that added to my disappointment with it, is I wanted maybe them to find a more clever way to have taken the memory away from her so that she wouldn't remember it. You said everything that I felt about this story almost word for word, Sean. So I'm going to let. I know that's fine. I'm going to let what you said.
Wound up.
I'm going to let what you said stand for me as well, because I completely concur with everything you said.
To be fair, I work with scientists, and sometimes they don't have as much common sense. So the common sense of splitting off in pairs,
Lots of book smarts, but not common sense.
Yeah, sometimes that's not there. So, that's how you can kind of rationalize why sometimes they do stupid stuff on these stories. Is, well, they don't always have the common sense.
Keith, you've listened to this box set, right?
Yes,
and this is the one. This is the one with the Masters. I think Missy's one of them. The Roberts Masters one, and I don't know who the other one is.
I believe it was Sims.
Oh, was it? Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Okay. So this would have been the fourth Master encounter with this one. So okay.
No, it wasn't Sims. It was Crispy Master.
Oh, was it Beavers? Jeffrey Beavers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, now that we've stepped away and done this one, because I really felt like this was kind of the third part of the Doctor going through and collecting, the Master going through and collecting the specimens for to set up this next arc, which I think we're going to kind of combine. So, Keith, go ahead.
The missing link in darkness and light. On a desperate world in the distant future, the Master embarks on his latest scheme, aided and abetted by a team of brilliant scientists. But who is he truly working for? And at a universe war, is there anyone left in the cosmos who can stop him?
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
I was fairly surprised that we got to kind of the main plot of what he's doing so quickly.
Yeah.
I kind of expected 3 stories of him gathering people and 1 story of it all going wrong.
I agree.
Yeah,
and in fact, I think that's part of the reason that I wanted to inject River Song in here, because I wish I had listened to it that way, because then I think it would have felt a little more or a little less rushed, because I sort of felt the same way, that this would be a third story of him pursuing someone, and then we would get the culmination of that.
Well, and so while it gets to it quickly, I was glad that it got to it quickly, because it would have I would have been worried with a 4-story box set that they would have spent so much time telling these other stories and tiptoeing and postponing the meat, as it were, and then they'd have to rush through to try to tell the story that they wind up telling in 2 parts here in 1. And so I was pleased that it was kind of scooted forward and we kind of learned really what's going on a lot sooner than we would have normally.
Yeah.
For the feel that it should have been a 1, 2, 3 punch, I love the fact that it was a 1, 2 punch that we told this story as a 2-part, because so frequently we wind up getting to the finale of a thing and then saying, man, I wish we'd had more time with it. I wish that this had been differently. I wish that the pacing was a little different. And this one, while I agree with you, Glenn, that it kind of felt rushed that they got into it, if you place the River Song story where it was, it's almost perfect in a way then, because it does feel like this needed the 2 parts to wrap up the story that they were telling with.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Master plan.
And while they could tell some cool stories of him going and gathering more people, it's gonna be the same basic thing.
Yeah, and you didn't need any more of it.
Yeah, it's him going to a situation, probably with the upper hand already, and then winning at the end, getting the person he needs. I mean, the only thing we get to do is learn about different abilities that would be out there in the universe.
Especially from the standpoint that very few of it's not like everybody who was in those stories came back and teamed up in the finale, which is I kind of was expecting that, but we didn't even go there with it. So,
like, we got 1, right? Because Sabatini never even came back.
No, yeah, Alice
was the only one.
Yeah, Alice was the only one. Now, I got the impression that they were
killed.
Well, yeah, whatever was extracted from them to create the what they call it, the rage. I got the impression that they were killed or disposed of in some way, and that's probably what happened to Sabatini and the creature that the Master was collecting in the last one, or in the Diary of River Song one.
Yeah.
I think that I got really excited when the 8th Doctor shows up, and I thought, okay, this will be interesting how they're going to do this, especially since he's not going to be able to know by the end of the story who the War Master is. And so I thought maybe they would be coy and they would never actually encounter each other, and then they finally do. But I thought that the running through ventilation systems and the Eighth Doctor, mentioning that he's actually gotten pretty good at it. Because if you think about it, the Trial of the Time Lord stuff was probably right prior to this. And there's also that one where he's, going through the utility ducts in that one on the Dalek ship. So I thought that was kind of funny that and obviously it's happened before in other stories as well. But I thought that was kind of funny that they did that. But I was really pleased when the Eighth Doctor showed up, and I think that the Eighth Doctor in this story, I really enjoyed him trying to put things together, and the closer that he got, I like the idea that Alice was actually this beacon to draw him there, because he was kind of the missing link, or not the missing link, but he was the last element that the Master needed for the creature. And I liked how it was winding down to this, where are we going to go with this, all the way down to the fact of the Doctor's having these, he's struggling to kind of keep his senses about him, the closer that we get. And at the end, when he's the Master, the cliffhanger of this is fantastic when the Master's got him and he's getting ready to do the surgery. I thought that was amazing. So great climactic ending to it as well.
You want to talk about, you were excited when the Eighth Doctor showed up. So I'm listening to the set, and I'm going on, and I'm so used to this now, it's a Master set. I'm in Master mode. I'm full blown, almost rooting for Jacoby at this point. And then the voice. It has the same gut check reaction to me as, well, I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you were expecting. And just out of, it has quite literally the same effect on me as, hey, Cap, are you out there? On your left. It was that kind of vicereal. I fist pumped in the car. I was so happy that Paul McGann had joined the fray. It was just, yes! Just absolute elation. Both hands in the air. People staring at me like, what is going on over there at that guy at the stoplight?
So you obviously hadn't seen the cover art.
I had not seen the cover art. I didn't know. So it was a complete shock to me. And not only that, I'd realized how much I'd missed him. But if there's one thing that these stories have been missing, which it was very prevalent to me throughout the first Master box set that we listened to, in the back of my head, I was kind of keep going, where's the Doctor at? And I had to keep reminding myself, oh yeah, the War Master. We're doing the Master. Stuff. There's no Doctor in this one, the War Master. So by this time I had, I'd set my brain dial appropriately. It's a War Master set. Okay, we know what we're in for. And then the Doctor shows up. It's like, yay! It's like bonus candy day at work. It's just somebody brought donuts in the break room. There's no bad that can happen to you today. It was such a pleasant yay moment. And Paul McGann is, of course, awesome as always. But what makes this even better, the plot and she's a beacon and she draws him in and there's great cliffhanger and everything. I'm going to dive right into the second part.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jacoby and McGann together.
Mm-hmm.
I may have a new favorite Dr. Master pairing. Oh my God. These two played off each other to such a degree that it was, I genuinely could have cared less about what peril they were in. It just, the world is ending. I don't care. They're in a duct. They're riffing on each other and they're in a duct. There's something hunting them. The Master may not even be the Master. He may be a duplicate already at this point. The Doctor may be a duplicate at this point. I don't care. They're riffing on each other in a duct. This is as good as writing for will ever get. To give out all the awards right now to this, because we're
done so well that it even allows for some downtime between the two and letting them reminisce about the old days. Just it's very subtle and very brief, but really well done with among all this chaos, and they're able to, have that moment. I thought that was kind of cool.
Just amazing. I could spend the rest of our episode talking about that. I will let somebody else go on now, because I was so beside myself pleased. You have no idea how happy I was with that.
Yeah. I unfortunately think that the story sort of devolves and becomes contrived. I think that the rage absorbing the essence of the two, and then having to then do this weird, bizarre mental battle with them, and the doctor encouraging the master and saying that he can, we can do this, and that kind of got really weird and strange and unnecessary for me. And so I was
trippy.
Yeah, and I was kind of let down by the time we got to this point, because it really the entire story was firing on all cylinders, and we had this great doctor master relationship, and then there's no reason for things to happen the way they happened, other than we've got to resolve this story somehow, and this is really the only way we can with a horror that we've created as a villain in this, and by that I mean the rage. And this is the way we're going to have to deal with this, because realistically the thing was going to be this omnipotent thing that if they hadn't, then it would have run amok. Yeah, it wouldn't have. There would have been no controlling it as a weapon, as they were trying to do, because this was going to be their weapon to deliver to the Time Lords. And we had the one guy that was actually working behind the scenes that was, on a was basically. I lost my train of thought. Oh, he was basically betraying the master and was behind his back, in connection or connecting with the Time Lords, and was going to, deliver the rage as well. So,
yeah,
I can visualize how that conversation went. I guarantee you, it was something along the lines of the author turned it in, and the guys at Big Finish went, "This is great. This is incredible. You've only got 30 pages here." It ends with the master and the doctor in a duct, and you don't have an ending. And the writer said, "Yeah, I'm spent. It's the greatest thing ever. We don't need an ending. You just end it there, and people will be happy." And Big Finish said, "No, you've got the rage out there. We've got to have an ending." And he went, "Well, then you figure it out, because I'm done." Did anybody else think the rage maybe was going to be the Timeless Child?
The Nightmare Child?
The Nightmare Child?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because when I started listening to this box set, I almost wondered if Alice was the Nightmare Child, and that they were going to that was where they were going to go with it, and they were going to drop that. We're going to go, okay, this is the origin of that story. And they didn't go anywhere with that. And so when we got to this, and this was the rage, before they named it the rage, or before he called it the rage, I almost expected him to say, "This new creation, this child of mine, this nightmare child." And I thought, oh, this would be great. So I was setting that up in my head. Then when he's called it the rage, I thought, okay, well, it's kind of a simpler name, but it's kind of on the nose. But, so I thought
that's why they named the box set.
Yeah. I thought that's where they were going to go with it. And I was very hopeful that this would be one of the ways that we would kind of get some of the backstory of the Nightmare Child. That so far still has just been a name drop.
I had a twisted, complicated relationship with that, because the whole time leading up to it, I was kind of hopeful, thinking, oh, this is where we're going to go with that. That'll be kind of cool. And then I had this flashback to a conversation that we had on this show where I was very adamant that I didn't want
to know. Yep. I was going to bring that up too.
And I thought to myself, shame on you for being so wishy-washy. You said you didn't want to know. And well, I don't. But this would be pretty cool if they did go there.
Oh, guess what, Sean? You still don't know.
and then they didn't go there, and I found myself slightly let down that they didn't go there. So I guess just put me in that section of fandom that doesn't know what they want.
And then, of course, we default to the Master's got to wipe the Doctor's brain, but not for the convenience of the story so he doesn't remember him, so that we can have an encounter with the 10th Doctor, being surprised. But mostly because he doesn't want to be sentenced or sent back to the Time Lords in order to be put on trial for it. So just make the Doctor forget and everything goes away. I was like, okay.
Never mind that the CIA is going to come looking for their agent.
Right, exactly.
That part I thought was kind of clever, and because it reverted back to the classic MO of the Master got in over his head, and had to team up with the Doctor to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So it was a
considering how much time and effort he put into the rage, though, it did feel like he flipped to kill it a little too quickly. Although he kept claiming he had plans upon plans upon plans, and so it was hard telling how many times it was part of his plan just to get the Doctor into the correct position, and how many times where it was a really, okay, yeah, we've got to destroy it because I don't have any other choice.
Well, you say that, and in the River Song story that we just reviewed, she is describing the Master and how the Master always has a plan upon plans, and he's always one step ahead. And as she's telling these ladies that, I'm thinking, well, you didn't just listen to the last story that I did, where he didn't really have a plan at the end, although he kind of did, but he didn't. So,
but then she followed that up with, and even when he fails, he'll say that was part of the plan.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's true.
But then I loved the admiration that in Jacoby's voice when the rage had pulled the fast one, and he was full of admiration. Oh, you clever thing, and that he knew he'd been got, and that he didn't have an out, and it was just like, okay. And then he had to revert back to his standard, I am the Master, you will obey me, I am your creator. Dude, that doesn't work. Props for effort, because that's also part of the MO. When in doubt, shout at it. But
when in doubt, try to hypnotize.
Yeah. Now, I would have liked if Alice had managed to tie in a little bit more instead of being dispatched as quickly as she was at the early part of this.
She was a bit wasted.
In fact, had Rage, if that had been kind of, if maybe even that had been maybe the cornerstone personality of the Rage had been Alice, and that it was her rage that it was named after, and that was allowed to bubble to the surface at the end, that she was still a part of it or something, that would have given me a little more a sense of closure, I think, with why it was able to be taken care of as easily as it was. But all in all, I can't complain. Again, the meeting of the Eighth Doctor and the Master, everything else took a back seat to that section of the story, and I'm kind of okay with that, because when you do something as great as that segment, if nothing else measures up, I can't complain.
How can anything measure up?
Yeah, because it's not going to. It just can't.
Yeah.
Do you collect Doctor Who? Do you have Doctor Who items and you don't know you collect Doctor Who? For all things in the Doctor Who collecting world, tune in to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, a Direction Point Network podcast. I am Larry Van Rosbergen, your host, and I have been collecting Doctor Who for 40 years. With popular features like collection protection and the most outrageous offer, we have a lot of fun. Available anywhere you get your podcasts. You're listening to Traveling the Vortex, a Direction Point Network podcast.
All right, well, Sean, what do we got coming up next on the schedule?
I don't know, but it won't be as cool as Paul McGann showing up. I tell you that. Coming up next on the schedule, we have... let's see, where are we at? We're in Act 1. Unit, Cyber Reality. This will be from Unit, the new Series 6 from Big Finish. So all 4 stories that make up this particular box set are next according to our timeline. And then if our math is correct, we will sidestep away from the Time War in order to tackle a certain Easter special and some Sea Devils. Then we'll dip back into it with the War Master, Hearts of Darkness from the War Master 5, and that'll be 4 more Big Finish stories coming at you. So lots of Big Finish on the way. Did I lose you?
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. I had an issue. All right, be sure to check out our website, travelingvortex.com, for updates on this podcast. And if you get any value out of this podcast, why not consider putting some value back into it? You can do that by clicking on our Patreon link and consider supporting us. Also, please consider giving us a 5-star review wherever you subscribe to the podcast. It helps bump us up in the ratings and the recommendations. And, of course, joining on the conversation on our listeners forum on Facebook. Anything else we need to cover this week before we close, guys? If not, until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.
Direction point! Direction point!
A Doctor Who podcast network.